Now, if you just came here, spoke, left, and came back again, spoke, left, had a few laughs, had some postmasters, and even snacks in between, would you have moved towards your objective? Would you have ever fulfilled your goal? Now, what does it take to make you fulfill that goal? It is that evaluation session. Evaluation is most important, not just for the speakers, but for the evaluator and for the rest of us who are the audience who are not speaking or evaluating. How, you may say, would that be? For the evaluator, it's because we're listening. We hone our skill of listening and at the same time analyzing, did the speaker meet his or her objective? The speaker obviously benefits by learning how he or she can improve. And the audience, while not having to experience or experiment that speaking moment, they also get to learn from the evaluation, because one day they may also have to give the same speech, or they may also have the same problem that the current speaker had. And even without having to go through the experience of speaking and making that blunder, they get to learn. And the next time they speak, they would not necessarily have to make the same problem or make the same mistake. So evaluation session is not just for the speaker, but for the audience as well as for the evaluators. Now, what does the evaluator do? The evaluator comes here and talks to you because he or she is going to provide feedback. Now, what kind of feedback would you give? First of all, any evaluator needs to understand whenever a speech is given, it is still a communication. Every speech has an objective. Every speech has a message. Every speech is given intending to have some kind of result. When you come here and evaluate, you need to prepare for that. You need to understand. Go through the manual. Every speaker has a manual. Go through that manual. It's not just the speaker who has to go through the manual before coming here to speak. You, as the evaluator, also have to read the objectives. Try to understand yourself first. What is that objective? Another thing, every speaker has something that they are trying to improve on in that particular speech. Maybe I'm too nervous. Will my nervousness show? It may be I made too many ahs and ums. Would you please note that I don't make those ahs and ums? It may be I don't speak full sentences. I go from one sentence to another. These are not in those objectives, but the speaker still has those things that he or she wants to improve on. And as an evaluator, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are evaluating those things also and noting down so that you can provide feedback on those points also. So you have to not just read the manual, but also sit with the evaluator and talk to him or her and find out what is it that he or she is trying to improve. So that way, you can provide better feedback immediately. You can also offer methods for improvement, because when you find out what is the issues that they are facing, then you can say, if you did it this way, or if you did it that way, then I would have understood better, or the audience may have been able to get your point better. And the most important thing, and as the topic earlier pointed out, evaluate to motivate, evaluation provides provides points for the speaker to improve their self-esteem. Because if a speaker is not improving from one speech to the other, he or she is not going to be motivated to speak any further. When a speaker finds that he or she is able to improve with each speech, what he or she feels is they are improving their self-esteem, feeling better about themselves, and thinking like, I'm getting better. When I started speaking, I used to make 20 to 50 assonants. My major objective was to cut down on those assonants. Another point I had was I could not speak for the person at the end to hear. That was another objective. When I started feeling that my voice could go across the room, when I started hearing the R counter going from 50 to 20 to 5 and few, I felt better. I felt like, okay, I can go and speak. And that was not just here, but also outside. When I went and made presentations at work, or when I had to just speak about something at work, not necessarily about presentation. So that self-esteem is boosted when you motivate the speaker. Evaluation is all about tell and sell. It's when the evaluator talks and the speaker listens. Now when you're saying tell and sell, does not mean you're selling something. You are selling that motivation for the speaker to do better. So you have to give inputs, you have to make the speaker feel better, you have to be able to provide something concrete enough for the speaker to say, okay, I do need to take this advice. I do need to improve in these points. And I feel so good because my evaluator is encouraging me to do better in my speeches and get ahead. So that's the selling that you're doing. And you have the speaker listening to you, and that's the opportunity you have to sell those points to the speaker. You may give your advice later also, but it won't be as effective. So all the selling that you have to do has to happen at that time. Now, before you speak, as I said earlier, there is the manual. You have to go through the manual. You have to read all the objectives, not just the objectives at one side of the manual. Do you all read your manuals?
Yes.
Have you all seen your manuals? I don't know if the guest has seen the manual. In each of the speech objectives, there is an objective at the end that just gives the hint of the objectives, what they are. But if you're the evaluator, you can't just read those objectives. You have to go through the entire instruction that is given in the objective, because that's where the clues are given. That's where the ways to speak or prepare for that particular speech is given. And when you go through all of that, then only you understand what the speaker has gone through. Then only you can talk to your speaker and understand what is it that the person wants to improve on. And also look at the evaluation guideline. Evaluation guideline is the one that is given at the end of that speech preparation, where you are given some points that you have to look at when you are evaluating. Now you cannot be looking at the evaluation guideline after you've listened to the speech, because you would have missed out on those points. If you have looked at the evaluation guideline beforehand and pointed out, maybe take notes also beforehand, then when you are listening to the speaker, you note those things. So look at the evaluation guidelines. And any concern, obviously you have to talk to your speaker. During the speech, you have to show that you're interested. As a speaker, I'll be standing here, I'll be looking at fellow speakers, I'll be looking at the evaluators, and I'll be looking at the audience also. But as a speaker, you're most concerned not about fellow speakers or the audience, you're most concerned about the evaluator. That's why many of the speakers deliver their speech looking at the evaluator only. The reason is you're here to improve, and you want the evaluator to be listening to you. When you are looking at and making notes, you're showing that you're listening, you're interested. And when you are listening, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the speaker, because you need to understand what they've gone through. That's why you went through all the manual, whatever is written in the manual, and you're taking notes. During the evaluation, choose your words carefully. Especially don't say, you did this, you didn't do this. Say, I observed that this was said during the speech. I heard this, and I felt this way. That automatically changes the way the speaker perceives what you're saying. And you say, I feel you would have done better if you said these. I, and not you. That's the most important thing. And evaluate the speech, not the speaker. We're not here to talk about who the speaker is, what he or she does outside. You're here to speak and evaluate about what the speaker has said here, what the speaker has done here, and how you felt during that speech, and what you understood from that speech. And obviously, motivation is most important. That's why you need to promote self-esteem. Meaning, talk about the good things. Commend, recommend, and again close with a summary, or you close with another comment. Meaning you say the good things, you say what are the points that needs to be improved, and then close with something nice about the speech itself so they feel good. Avoid being disingenuous, meaning honest evaluation is really nice, but just because you don't want to be not nice, don't praise something that was not a good speech, because you're not helping the person. Flowery words are nice to hear, but does not improve the speaker, and that is not the purpose of evaluation. Encouragement is necessary, but at the same time, don't put the person down. And at the same time, by being encouraging, don't be so encouraging that you encourage the mistakes that the speaker has made. In closing, you have to connect your speech to the opening. Remember, an evaluation is a mini speech. There has to be a beginning, there has to be a middle or a body, and there has to be an end. So when you are giving your evaluation also, make sure you connect to where you started from, so that the speaker also feels that you are in line with whatever you are saying. Summarize your key points. By the end of that 2 or 3 minutes, the speaker might have forgotten what you just said, but the important points, you want to hit on those points once again. So summarize your points at the end. When you are giving your evaluation, make sure that you also give a personal story or example, because that's what makes a speech great, right? An evaluation is also a speech. And when you give your example, the speaker feels connected to you, just like when you give example in your speech, the audience feels connected to you. And we cannot say enough of this. Encourage the listeners to apply what they heard and learned. Because when you are slamming on the speaker, they may be discouraged. When you're encouraging, they will be more likely to take in whatever you said and practice that the next time they come to speak. Thank you.